So I did some research online, and my budget came up to just around the price of one of the items I was talking about earlier. In fact, I kind of saved because I actually got a keyboard and a mouse and even a table out of it, plus the mouse pad. So all in all, I think I came out of this pretty good. Yeah, I did end up spending as much as what I was complaining about in terms of price on that other stuff, but I got what I wanted, and what's nice is that you don't have to get necessarily what I have here. You can customize, you can choose what you want. That's the power of PC gaming. You can actually have a choice. So, talking about the table really quick, it's the Seville Classics Web 162 Mobile Laptop Desk Cart. This is $34.99 on Amazon, and it's a pretty sturdy table. One of the big problems I had initially was when I was setting it up. Now, when I was setting it up, the screw holes on the bottom, I guess they weren't threaded properly. So when I accidentally knocked the table after I screwed everything in, it just plopped right off. Now, it's stuck right now on there nicely because I used some epoxy. So I recommend that if you don't have any kind of super glue or anything like that, maybe skip on this table and find something else. But if you do have some lying around, if you don't mind a little extra elbow grease, well, it's not a bad table. I mean, it's staying there just fine. The weight capacity is 15 pounds. The dimensions are 24 by 16, and then we have a height dimension of 20.5 to 33 inches because you have height adjust on here. It's got lockable wheels on the bottom, and it's capable of sliding under your couch sofa or regular old couch. It's a really nice table for $34.99. There is another variant of this. It's one with a side table for $49.99, but the problem with that one, if I can get this into frame properly, sorry, is it's a lot shorter. The main base table is smaller, but you do have that side area for a mouse. So I recommend this one if you want a near full-size keyboard, or even, if possible, if you don't mind sacrificing a little bit of mouse room, a full-size keyboard. But for the one with the side table, I wouldn't exactly recommend that because of its short length. So for the keyboard today, we have the Cooler Master Storm Quickfire. This is a really interesting keyboard. It's got a lot of features in it, but I want to talk about the switches really quick. So when a lot of people think about a mechanical keyboard, they think of how loud it is. So there's various types of switches. Razer makes their own that are compatible with Cherry. Cherry, of course, has been making them for 20 plus years. You have the cheaper ones. You have the really expensive ones from Omron, which is Logitech's mechanical switch. So there's a lot of types out there, and it's all about finding which one's best for you. And there's also variants of those. So Cherry, in this case here, this is one of the cheaper Cherry MX switch keyboards. Mechanical keyboards you're going to be paying a premium penny for, but let me tell you, they're worth it in terms of their quality because they last very long. And once you get used to the type of switch that you want, because there's various types, in this case we have a red one, you'll be pretty much good to go with it. I mean, it does take a little bit of time getting used to, but you'll honestly swear off membrane keyboards. So anyway, keycap quality is pretty good, feels good to type on, but the reds here, we'll talk about those right now. So reds are more for gaming because of their low, I believe it's called actuation point, so I believe 45 grams before you actually hit the switch on the bottom there. You don't have to bottom them out either. They have like a little point, and then you can like press again for like a double tap. It's really cool. But the reds are more for gaming, and something like the browns are more for typing, whereas the blues are kind of the in-between where they're super loud, but kind of like the reds. So if you want something that's more for typing, they have brown variants of this, I believe. But since we're playing, on the couch and playing a lot of couch games, we're not going to be typing too much. We're not going to be typing up documents or anything. Reds will do us just fine, and honestly, I like them a lot. The only problem I have is that it's very easy to accidentally hit some of these buttons. So for strategy games, I would recommend a brown keyboard. But if you are the type of person that plays a lot of shooters, a red will do just fine. Cherry MX Reds. Now let's talk about the actual keyboard itself, what Cooler Master came up with here. So it's got a nice cable management loop on the back here. So you have multiple ways you can line it out, and it's pretty cool, honestly, because I actually have this thing set up whereby it comes off the left onto my PC, and when people come in, they're like, oh, is that a wireless keyboard? Like, no, I just never noticed the cord. It's actually detachable too. It's got that mini USB cable, and it's braided too. Some people might not like that because it can potentially get damaged easily, that port especially, but I haven't had too many problems with it, and it actually makes a great keyboard for traveling. You just want to pack this away and then keep the cable in a separate bag. You don't have to wrap it around it. That's cool. It's only got one height adjust on the bottom here, but tons of rubber on the bottom to protect your desk, and it's fully rubberized feet right here, or stands, so it doesn't scratch of anything. A lot of keyboard manufacturers, they don't do that. They don't make it fully rubberized, and it still either slides around on the desk or it scratches up your desk. Good job, Cooler Master. You may have noticed the LED lighting there. If I hit the FN key over here, if I hold it down, I get a new functionality over on the top. So they changed from the function keys to these media keys that are also listed right here. So you have RGB right here, you have some breathing. You turn it off completely. It's nice. Your media key is right here. One of the really cool things about the keyboard is how they managed the numpad part. So there's things like 10 keyless keyboards, or I think 20 or 16. There's like 60% keyboard and then 80% keyboard, where you can have just this or just the full numpad and then the arrow keys and all that. But what I like about this is that it gives you the small form factor, but it lets you switch between what you want, either a numpad or the arrow keys in this case. So if you hit and hold FN over here, you get the options on the top here, which basically they switch from function keys to your media and your LEDs, which are really cool. I like to have it like this. I don't like too many bright LEDs. By the way, the Cherry MX Browns, they do not come with brown backlights. I believe it's white. That'd be a little bit weird, but anyway. So for the numpad right here, if you hit this button, it goes to numpad. If you hit this, these are now disabled, and you have the arrow keys right here. So it's a nice way of combining a 80% keyboard and keeping a lot of the features that you want into a nearly 60% keyboard. So it's kind of cool. It keeps everything that you need in this nice form factor. Very small, obviously. There's no, unfortunately, any wrist rests, but it's pretty comfortable to type on. It's raised nicely off the table, so again, it's very, very comfortable. It is around 75 to 80 bucks, but for the quality you're getting, for how compact it is, for how solid it feels when you're typing on it, I gotta say it's one of the best keyboards I've ever used, and I hear that there are way better keyboards out there than this guy. So as an entry-level keyboard that's not too expensive, that's under 100, you can't go wrong with the Cooler Master Quickfire. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you may have seen my desktop, my actual desk, not my computer, and you might have seen that I've always been using a Logitech mouse, and that really hasn't changed. I love Logitech mice. Now this is the G602 right here. The G602 has a 250-hour battery life if you keep it on the power saver mode, and it's one of the best wireless mice I've ever used. Wireless mice, since 2005 when I first got my first one, have come a long, long, long way. This one has great battery life. It's amazing to hold in your hands. Clicks are great. It has a lot of buttons on the side too. I was worried that would be a problem, like I would just feel those all the time, it wouldn't be comfortable, but my thumb rests just below them if I wanted to, and it can be a little bit of trouble getting used to the buttons, like trying to click the right one, but overall it's a great mouse, and I mean, it took me about maybe 30 minutes before I was like, yeah, I can play on this for a while. It's great for MMOs too because of all those extra buttons. And because of the Logitech software, you have fully customizable buttons, so you don't have to have the media keys on here be your only media keys. On the keyboard, you can have them be right here, like your volume adjust, your skip song, all that. It's great. Scroll wheel is pretty good. It doesn't have a scroll, like a free scroll functionality, unfortunately. You got your power switch on your back. On the back. Then you have two AA batteries powering the whole thing, which is nice. You can remove one of them if you want less weight. Some people do complain about the weight of that, so that is nice to give you the option. I really wish it was rechargeable. That is the one big complaint. But I'd rather have this mouse than a wired one, because a lot of the wired ones I've been running with in this particular setup, they kind of drag off the table a little bit, and that can be very annoying. The other thing is that you kind of need to install a bungee because the cable, more often than not, on a desk it's fine, but I've come to realize that on a table like this, those cables really get in your way. It feels like you're kind of just pulling on that cable. Whereas on a desk, when everything's leveled out, nothing's just on a desk, it feels natural, whereas here, it just doesn't feel right at all. It feels like you're constantly struggling against that cable. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys liked it. As for the mouse pad, it's just a simple Technic mouse pad with a little gel foam right here. In terms of comfort overall, I gotta say, it's pretty good in that when I can, in terms of comfort overall, I can pretty much adjust this thing to any height I want to. In terms of comfort overall, I can use height adjust on this table to match whatever comfort I really need. It still is not perfectly comfortable like it would be on a desk or with a controller, but again, this is a compromise setup. Until these bigger companies find a better solution, this is what I'm going to be using for the foreseeable future when I want to play keyboard and mouse games on my living room PC, on a couch. But I gotta say, I feel like I did spend a little bit extra, but I feel like I got my money's worth, and I'm really enjoying the setup. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm out.